He was the most trusted doctor in town. People believed he was saving lives, but behind the white coat, he was secretly destroying them for money. Before going forward in the story, please subscribe my channel and like and share this video.
In the town of Brookside, Ohio, everyone trusted Dr. Daniel Carter. His clinic sat on Main Street with white walls and a blue sign that said Carter Family Medical Center. Inside, the waiting room was always full. People believed he was the best doctor in the area. He was tall, calm, and always smiling. His voice was soft, and he listened carefully. Parents brought their children to him. Old people called him Dr. Dan, like he was family. But behind that smile, Daniel had a secret life. Daniel grew up poor. His father, Mark Carter, worked in a factory. His mother, Susan, cleaned houses. They loved him, but money was always short. He remembered nights when electricity was cut off. He remembered wearing old clothes to school and being teased by other kids. One day, when he was only 12, he told his mother, "Mom, when I grow up, I'll be rich. We'll never struggle again." She smiled and hugged him. That dream never left his mind. He studied hard, went to college, then medical school. But medical school in the USA was expensive. When he finished, he had over $300,000 in student loans. He became a family doctor in Brookside. At first, he was honest and kind. He truly wanted to help people. But honesty did not make him rich fast. He saw other doctors on social media, big houses, luxury cars, private jets. He felt jealous. "I studied just as hard as them. Why am I still struggling?" he thought. One afternoon, a woman named Megan Brooks walked into his clinic. She wore a business suit and carried a shiny briefcase. "I'm from Nova Farm," she said, smiling. "We just launched a new medication for anxiety and pain. It's amazing." She gave him brochures and free samples. Then she lowered her voice. "If you prescribe our medication regularly, we offer bonuses, trips to medical conferences in Hawaii, luxury dinners, even direct payments. It's all discreet." Daniel knew this was illegal. Doctors were not allowed to take money for prescriptions. He said, "I can't do that." Megan smiled politely. "Of course, think about it. Many doctors do. It's just how the system works." She left a business card on his desk. That night, Daniel looked at his bills: rent, loans, credit cards. He looked at his small apartment and old car. He picked up Megan's card. A week later, he called her. "I am interested," he said. Crossing the line. At first, Daniel felt nervous. He started small. He prescribed Nova Farm drugs to some patients. The company sent him a bonus, then another, then invitations to luxury trips. He realized something dangerous. No one was watching him, so he pushed further. He started ordering unnecessary blood tests, MRIs, CT scans. He scared patients. "You might have a serious condition," he would say. "We should do full testing to be safe." Patients trusted him. They paid. Nova Farm paid him more. Soon, he was making more money illegally than from his salary. George Miller was a 68-year-old retired truck driver. He came to Daniel with mild chest pain. Daniel knew it was probably stress or acid reflux, but he said, "This could be heart disease. We need advanced tests and special medication." George was scared. He paid thousands of dollars. He sold his old truck to cover the bills. Emily Johnson was a single mother with a 7-year-old son, Tyler. Tyler had a fever and sore throat. Daniel knew it was just a viral infection, but he said, "This could be something serious. We should start strong antibiotics and run tests." Emily cried. She borrowed money from her sister. Tyler recovered in 3 days, but Emily was left with debt. Within 2 years, Daniel was rich. He bought a big house with a swimming pool. He bought a black Tesla. He wore expensive watches. People admired him. "He's such a successful doctor," they said. His wife, Laura Carter, felt something was wrong. "You care more about money than patients now," she told him. "I'm just securing our future," Daniel replied. But inside, he knew he was lying. One summer, a young intern named Jason Reed joined his clinic. Jason was fresh out of medical school. He was honest and idealistic. He wanted to save lives. He admired Dr. Carter. But Jason noticed something strange. Patients looked scared. Bills were huge. Treatments looked unnecessary. One day, he asked gently, "Dr. Carter, do we really need all these scans for this patient? Symptoms are mild." Daniel smiled, but his voice was cold. "You are here to learn, not to teach me. Do your job." Jason felt embarrassed, but the doubt stayed in his mind. One night, Daniel got a call from the hospital. George Miller had died from a heart attack. His family was devastated. They had no savings left because of expensive treatments. Daniel sat in his office alone. He stared at the wall. For a moment, he felt guilt. But then he whispered, "People die. That's life. I did my job." He didn't know this death would be the beginning of his downfall. Daniel Carter tried to forget about George Miller's death, but the memory stayed in his mind. At night, when the house was quiet and Laura was asleep, he would sit in his office and stare at his phone, thinking about the old man's tired smile and shaky hands. For a few seconds, guilt would rise in his chest like a heavy weight. Then he would open his banking app and look at his growing balance. The guilt would fade. He told himself that George was old, that death was natural, that nothing he did had caused it. That lie became his shield. Life in Brookside continued. Patients kept coming, trusting him without question. His clinic expanded. He hired more nurses, more staff, and even added a small lab inside the building so he could run tests and charge more money. Nova Farm loved him. He was now one of their top prescribers in the region. Megan Brooks visited him often, bringing gifts, expensive wine, and invitations to luxury conferences. At one conference in Las Vegas, Daniel stayed in a 5-star hotel, ate in expensive restaurants, and attended parties with other doctors who were doing the same illegal things. He realized he was not alone. The system was broken, and many doctors were exploiting it. That made him feel safer. Laura noticed he was never home anymore. He was always traveling, attending conferences, meeting clients, and working late. One night, she confronted him. "Daniel, you're changing. You used to care about people. Now you care about money and status. Are you doing something illegal?" He laughed and hugged her. "You're overthinking. This is how success looks." She wanted to believe him, but a seed of doubt was planted in her heart. Jason Reed, the intern, kept observing quietly. He started keeping notes. He compared patient cases with medical guidelines from textbooks and official sources. Many of Daniel's treatments did not match standard practice. He saw elderly patients selling belongings to pay bills. He saw families crying over medical debts. He saw Daniel smiling and assuring them everything was necessary. One afternoon, a teenage girl named Lily Harper came in with anxiety and mild depression. Daniel prescribed heavy medication from Nova Farm that had serious side effects, even though therapy and lighter drugs would have been safer. Jason whispered to him, "Dr. Carter, this medication is very strong. Shouldn't we start with therapy or a milder drug?" Daniel's eyes hardened. "You are here to learn, not to teach me. Do your job." Lily later developed severe side effects and had to be hospitalized. Her parents blamed bad luck, not the doctor. Jason started feeling sick inside. He thought about reporting Daniel, but he was just an intern. Daniel was respected, powerful, and connected. Reporting him could destroy his career. Still, he couldn't stay silent forever. Meanwhile, Daniel's greed grew. He started collaborating with diagnostic labs and imaging centers. They paid him a percentage for every test he referred. He even partnered with a private hospital and became a shareholder, secretly earning from every patient he sent there. He started seeing patients not as people, but as sources of income. One day, a construction worker named Michael Torres came in with back pain from lifting heavy materials. Daniel could have prescribed rest, physical therapy, and simple painkillers, but instead, he told Michael, "This could be a serious spinal issue. You need an MRI and possibly surgery." Michael was terrified. He had no insurance. He took a loan with high interest to pay for the tests. The MRI showed nothing serious, but Daniel still recommended expensive injections. Michael trusted him. As Daniel's wealth increased, so did his ego. He donated money to local charities, sponsored school events, and became a respected public figure. The local newspaper featured him as a successful community leader. People admired him even more. Behind the scenes, Jason secretly recorded conversations, kept copies of prescriptions, and collected evidence. He knew he needed proof. One day, he overheard Daniel talking on the phone with Megan. "Send the payment through the usual channel," Daniel said quietly, "and push the new drug hard. I'll make sure it becomes my top prescription." Jason froze. He recorded the conversation on his phone. He realized this was not just unethical, this was a crime. But he was scared. He talked to his girlfriend, Anna, who was a law student.
Jason Reed couldn't sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the faces of the patients who had suffered because of Dr. Daniel Carter, Emily Johnson crying in the hallway, George Miller's daughter begging the hospital for more time to pay the bills, Lily Harper shaking from the side effects of strong medication. Jason felt like he was part of the problem. He started collecting more evidence. He saved copies of prescriptions, referral forms, and emails. He secretly recorded conversations when Daniel talked about payments and drug companies. He studied medical rules and laws so he would understand what crimes were happening. But fear held him back. Daniel Carter was powerful in Brookside. He had friends in the hospital, in the city council, and in the business community. Reporting him could destroy Jason's career before it even started. Still, his conscience wouldn't let him stop. Daniel noticed changes in Jason. The intern had become quiet and distant. He no longer joked or admired him. He watched everything closely. One afternoon, Daniel called Jason into his office. "You seem distracted," Daniel said, leaning back in his chair. "Is there a problem?" Jason forced a smile. "No, sir, just tired." Daniel stared at him for a few seconds. He felt something was off, but he couldn't prove anything. "Remember," Daniel said, "medicine is about trust. Don't break that trust by questioning your mentors." Jason nodded, but inside he felt sick. Daniel's greed kept growing. He started pushing even more aggressive treatments. He partnered with a private rehab center and referred patients with mild anxiety or stress as if they had serious addiction problems. The center paid him for every referral. One of his patients, Sarah Collins, a young teacher, came in with mild anxiety after a breakup. Daniel told her she needed an intensive rehab program. "You could lose control of your life," he warned. "Better to get help now." Sarah trusted him. She spent thousands of dollars and missed weeks of work. She didn't need it. Laura, Daniel's wife, started noticing strange bank transfers and secret accounts. One night, while Daniel was in the shower, she checked his laptop. She found emails from Nova Farm and other companies discussing payments and prescription targets. Her heart raced. When Daniel came out, she confronted him. "Daniel, what is this?" she asked, showing him the emails. He froze for a moment, then tried to laugh. "It's just business deals, marketing stuff." "Doctors aren't supposed to get paid for prescriptions," she said quietly. "Is this legal?" Daniel's voice turned sharp. "You don't understand how the industry works. Stop spying on me." Laura felt scared. She had never seen him so angry. That night, she couldn't sleep. She wondered if the man she married was a stranger. Finally, Jason decided to act. He contacted a professor from his medical school, Dr. Andrew Keller, who was known for his ethics work. Jason told him everything and shared some evidence. Dr. Keller listened carefully. "This is serious," he said. "If what you're saying is true, this could involve federal crimes. But you must be careful. We'll contact the authorities anonymously." Jason felt both relief and fear. He had crossed a point of no return. A few months later, Daniel noticed something strange. A man in a suit visited his clinic asking about procedures, billing, and prescription practices. He claimed to be from a health organization doing a routine audit. Daniel smiled and answered confidently, but inside he felt nervous. After the man left, Daniel called Megan. "Are you sure everything is clean?" he asked. Megan laughed. "Relax, audits happen all the time. You're too paranoid." But Daniel couldn't relax. Soon, more investigators came. They asked for records, billing statements, and referral contracts. They interviewed staff quietly. Jason acted normal, but inside he was terrified and excited at the same time. Daniel started feeling pressure. He drank more, he snapped at staff, he argued with Laura constantly. One night, he told Laura, "If anyone asks, you know nothing. Don't say anything stupid." She looked at him in shock. "What are you afraid of, Daniel?" He didn't answer. One morning, federal agents walked into the clinic. They showed badges. "Dr. Daniel Carter, you are under investigation for healthcare fraud, illegal kickbacks, and unethical medical practices." The staff stared in silence. Patients in the waiting room gasped. Daniel felt his legs go weak. He tried to stay calm. There must be a misunderstanding, but the agents started collecting computers, files, and documents. Jason watched quietly from the hallway. His hands were shaking. News spread fast. Local TV channels reported that a respected doctor was under federal investigation. People in Brookside were shocked. Emily Johnson saw the news and felt her heart sink. "So it was all a lie," she whispered. Families who had trusted Daniel felt betrayed. Some cried, some felt angry, some wanted justice. At home, Laura sat alone on the couch, staring at the wall. Her phone kept ringing, but she didn't answer. She felt ashamed, confused, and broken. The life she thought was perfect was falling apart. Daniel sat in his office, surrounded by agents. He felt like the world was collapsing. His money, his status, his reputation, everything was in danger. For the first time in years, he truly felt afraid. And he realized something painful. He could not buy his way out of this. Daniel's world changed in a single day. The federal agents left his clinic with boxes of files and computers. His staff looked at him differently now. Some avoided his eyes, some whispered. Patients canceled appointments. His phone was full of messages, but most of them were angry. He went home feeling numb. Laura was waiting in the living room. Her eyes were red from crying. "Is it true?" she asked quietly. He didn't answer. He dropped his keys on the table and sat down heavily. "They're accusing me of things," he said. "It's complicated." "Are you innocent?" she asked. He looked away. That silence was enough. Laura covered her mouth with her hand. She felt like the ground under her feet was gone. "Daniel, how could you do this? People trusted you." He snapped. "You think I wanted this? Do you know how hard I worked? Do you know how much pressure there is to succeed?" She stood up, shaking. "Success is not stealing from sick people." He had no answer. The investigation moved fast. The agents interviewed nurses, lab partners, hospital staff, and patients. Many people spoke against him. Some cried during interviews. Some told stories of selling cars, homes, and taking loans because of his advice. Emily Johnson gave a long statement. "He scared me," she said. "He told me my son could die. I trusted him." Michael Torres told them about the unnecessary MRI and injections. "He made me think I would be paralyzed. I'm still paying off the loan." Lily Harper's parents talked about her side effects and hospitalization. One by one, the stories built a mountain of evidence. Jason Reed was called in to give his statement. His heart was beating fast. He had done the right thing, but he felt guilty too. "I respected him," Jason told them, "but I saw patterns, unnecessary tests, strong drugs, referrals for money. I recorded some conversations." He handed over his evidence. The agents nodded. "You did the right thing." But Jason still felt heavy inside. Daniel hired a famous lawyer, Mr. Robert Hayes. Hayes was calm, confident, and expensive. "You're in serious trouble," Hayes said during their first meeting. "Healthcare fraud and illegal kickbacks are federal crimes. You could lose your license, your money, and go to prison." Daniel felt dizzy. "Can you fix this?"
"I can try to reduce the damage," Hayes replied, "but the evidence is strong, and there are many witnesses." Daniel realized that all the money he had earned illegally might be taken away. The town of Brookside changed its view of him overnight. The newspaper that once praised him now called him the doctor who betrayed trust. People discussed him in coffee shops, schools, and churches. Some people felt sad. "It helped my mother once," someone said. Others felt angry. "He destroyed my family financially." His clinic lost most of his patients. Some staff members quit. Others stayed only because they needed the job. At home, Daniel and Laura barely spoke. She slept in the guest room. Friends stopped visiting. Invitations stopped coming. Daniel walked around his big empty house and felt lonely. He tried to justify his actions. "Everyone does it. The system is corrupt. I just played the game," he told himself. But deep down, he knew he had crossed a line. The trial date was set. On the first day of court, Daniel wore a dark suit and tried to look calm. Cameras were outside the courthouse. Reporters shouted questions. "Do you regret your actions? Did you steal from your patients?" He said nothing. Inside the courtroom, he saw many familiar faces. Emily Johnson was there, Michael Torres was there, Lily Harper's parents were there. Even George Miller's daughter sat in the front row. Their eyes were full of pain and anger. For the first time, Daniel truly felt what he had done. The prosecutor spoke clearly and firmly. Dr. Daniel Carter abused his position of trust. He lied to his patients, scared them, and took money from companies in exchange for prescriptions. He turned healthcare into a business of fear. Witnesses testified one by one. Emily cried on the stand. "I trusted him with my child's life," she said. "He lied to me." Michael talked about his debts. "I still work 2 jobs to pay off what he made me spend." Jason Reed testified too. He looked nervous but honest. "I respected him," he said, "but I saw patterns, unnecessary tests, strong drugs, referrals for money. I recorded some conversations." He handed over his evidence. The agents nodded.
The courtroom was silent when the jury returned. Daniel Carter sat in the wooden chair, his hands folded tightly, his eyes fixed on the floor. He could hear his heartbeat in his ears. The judge looked at the jury foreman. "Has the jury reached a verdict?" "Yes, Your Honor." Daniel felt his chest tighten. The foreman stood up and read the verdicts. On the count of healthcare fraud, guilty. On the count of illegal kickbacks, guilty. On the count of conspiracy, guilty. Every word felt like a hammer hitting Daniel's head. The courtroom reacted quietly. Some people cried, some nodded like they had expected it. Emily Johnson held her sister's hand. Michael Torres closed his eyes in relief. George Miller's daughter wiped tears from her cheeks. Daniel's lawyer whispered, "Stay calm." But Daniel felt like the world was ending. The judge looked at him seriously. "Dr. Daniel Carter, you abused your position of trust. Patients come to doctors when they are vulnerable. You used their fear to enrich yourself. This court will not take this lightly." Sentencing was scheduled for the following month. Outside the courthouse, reporters surrounded Daniel. "Do you regret what you did? Do you want to apologize to your patients?" He stayed silent. Cameras flashed. His face was everywhere on the news. That night, he sat alone in his big, empty house. Laura was not there. She had moved in with her sister. He walked through the rooms, touching the expensive furniture, the paintings, the glass tables. None of it felt real anymore. He remembered when he used to dream about this life. Now he hated it. People in Brookside talked about him constantly. "He fooled us all. I trusted him with my kids. He should go to prison for life." Some people still felt sorry for him. "He grew up poor," someone said. "Maybe he lost his way." But most people felt betrayed. Jason Reed tried to move on with his life. He finished his internship and applied for residency programs. Some people praised him for exposing Daniel. Others called him a traitor. He felt mixed emotions. He was proud he did the right thing, but he felt sad that his mentor had fallen so far. One evening, Jason visited Emily Johnson and apologized. "I wish I had spoken up earlier," he said. Emily smiled sadly. "You did what you could. Thank you for telling the truth." Laura filed for divorce. She could not stay with a man who had built their life on lies. When Daniel received the papers, he stared at them for a long time. He called her. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "I know," she replied, "but sorry doesn't fix everything." She hung up. The day of sentencing arrived. Daniel stood before the judge again. He looked thinner, older, and tired. The prosecutor asked for a long prison sentence. "She destroyed lives," she said. "She should be held accountable." Daniel's lawyer asked for mercy. "He has no prior criminal record. He has contributed to the community. He is remorseful." The judge looked at Daniel. "Do you have anything to say?" Daniel swallowed. His voice was weak. "I thought I was securing my future. I forgot why I became a doctor. I forgot that patients are people, not money. I'm sorry." Some people believed him, some didn't. The judge announced the sentence. "Dr. Daniel Carter, you are sentenced to 8 years in federal prison, restitution of millions of dollars to your victims, and permanent revocation of your medical license." The words echoed in the courtroom. 8 years, no license, no career. Daniel felt empty. He was taken away in handcuffs. As he walked past the victims, he looked at them. Emily Johnson looked back, her eyes full of pain but also relief. Michael Torres nodded slightly, as if to say, justice was done. George Miller's daughter wiped tears from her cheeks. Daniel's lawyer whispered, "My father trusted you." Daniel lowered his head. Prison life was hard. He went from luxury to a small cell. He wore simple clothes. He ate simple food. No more expensive watches, no more big house, no more respect. Other inmates recognized him from the news. "Hey, you're that doctor who scammed people," one said. Daniel felt ashamed. At night, he thought about his childhood, his parents, his promise to be rich, and how that promise had destroyed him. He started reading books, writing letters, and thinking about his mistakes. For the first time in years, he felt honest with himself. Meanwhile, the government returned some of the stolen money to the victims. Emily paid off her debts. Michael reduced his loans. Lily Harper's family got compensation for medical costs. It didn't erase the pain, but it helped. Years passed. Daniel changed. He volunteered in prison, teaching inmates basic health education. He wrote letters to patients, apologizing. Some never replied, some forgave him. When he was released early for good behavior, he walked out of prison a different man. He had no license, no wealth, no fame, but he had something he had lost for a long time: humility. He got a simple job as a health assistant in a non-profit organization, helping people understand medical care and warn them about scams. He could not be a doctor again, but he could still help in small ways. He often thought about the lesson he learned too late. Power without honesty destroys everything. Years after Daniel Carter walked out of prison, Brookside barely remembered him as the famous doctor. To most people, he was just a warning story, a name people mentioned when talking about greed and betrayal. To Daniel, every day was a reminder of what he had lost. He lived in a small rented apartment now. No big house, no luxury car, no parties. He took the bus to work and ate simple meals. At first, the change felt like punishment. Later, it felt like peace. He worked at a non-profit community health center. His job was simple: help patients understand their medical bills, explain treatments in plain language, and warn them about unnecessary tests and scams. Some people recognized him. "You're that doctor from the news, right?" one old man asked. "Yes," Daniel replied quietly. "Why are you doing this job now?" "Because I want to make things right," Daniel said. Not everyone trusted him. Some refused to talk to him. Some walked away. He accepted it. He knew forgiveness was not something he deserved easily. One afternoon he saw a familiar face. Emily Johnson walked into the center with her son, Tyler, now a teenager. Daniel felt his heart stop for a second. He considered leaving the room, but Emily saw him. She looked surprised, but not angry. "Hello, Dr. Carter," she said softly. "Hello, Emily," he replied, his voice shaking. I'm sorry. I know sorry doesn't fix everything." She looked at him for a moment, then nodded. "I lost a lot of money and trust," she said, "but I also learned to ask questions. I learned not to trust blindly. Maybe your mistake taught many people something." Her words were calm, but they felt heavy. Jack smiled politely and walked away with her. Daniel stood there for a long time, thinking. Jason Reed became a respected doctor. He was known for honesty and patient care. He taught medical students and always told Daniel's story without using his name. "Never forget," he told them, "patients trust you with their lives. Money should never come before that." Jason sometimes thought about Daniel. He hoped his old mentor had truly changed. Laura rebuilt her life too. She moved to another city, started a new career, and found happiness again. She rarely thought about Daniel, but sometimes she remembered the kind young man he used to be. She hoped he had learned his lesson. One day, Daniel received a letter from George Miller's daughter. At first, he was scared to open it. Inside, she wrote, "My father trusted you. He died thinking you were helping him. I was angry for a long time, but anger was hurting me, not you. I forgive you, not for you, but for myself. I hope you never forget what trust means." Daniel cried for the first time in many years. He started speaking at small community events about medical ethics and patient rights. He told people to ask questions, get second opinions, and understand their treatments. "I was a doctor who chose money over people," he told them. "It destroyed my life and hurt many others. Don't let blind trust harm you." People listened. Some believed him, some didn't. But his message was honest. One evening, Daniel sat alone in a park watching the sunset. He thought about his childhood dream of being rich. He had achieved it, but it cost him everything that mattered. He whispered to himself, "I wish I had understood earlier that success without honesty is failure." He knew he could never change the past, he could only live with it. In Brookside, his story became a lesson taught in schools and medical colleges. Teachers said he was a talented doctor who chose greed over ethics. Parents told